Today, we're going to strip back literally thousands of years of history. I mean, we're peeling away all the layers, the empires, the kingdoms, to get right to the very beginning. We are going to follow the first human footsteps onto the Indian subcontinent. So, let's dive right in. Think about it. Before the Mughals, before the Mauryas, long before any of those grand structures touched the sky, there was just a vast, untamed wilderness. And before there were any rulers or written laws or, well, even cities, human life was this fragile, nomadic thing, completely shaped by the rhythms of nature. Just the quiet, determined footsteps of these small groups wandering into a brand new land. This is where the story of India really begins. So our journey has to start with the most fundamental question of all. How and why did the first modern humans even arrive in India? And what in the world did they find when they finally got here? The timeline here is just staggering. I mean, we're talking 70,000 years ago. And this wasn't some grand planned expedition. No way. It was a slow, generational crawl across the globe, driven by the most basic need there is: survival. Okay, so the story that most experts agree on, it goes something like this. Modern humans, us, we originated in Africa. From there, small groups started to migrate out, moving through what we now call Arabia and Iran, and eventually they just walked right into the Indian subcontinent. This was one of the most important journeys in all of human history, for sure. So, why India? What was the big draw? Well, because for early humans, it was basically a paradise. It had everything you could possibly want. Plenty of water, dense forests for shelter, tons of wildlife for hunting, and a warm climate you could actually survive in. It's no wonder it became one of the oldest continuous human habitats in the entire world. Now, arriving was one thing, but surviving, that was a whole other ballgame. For hundreds of thousands of years, life was defined by a simple but pretty brutal reality: the daily hunt for food and the constant search for shelter. Welcome to the Stone Age. These early people were what we call hunter-gatherers. They were always on the move, nomadic, living in these small groups that roamed through the forests, slept in caves, and they had this deep, intimate understanding of nature that is just so hard for us to even imagine today. You might be wondering, how do we know any of this? Well, it's because archaeologists have uncovered clues scattered all across the country. At sites like Atirampakam in Tamil Nadu, they've found tools that are astonishingly old. We're talking hundreds of thousands of years. These sites are like the individual puzzle pieces of India's incredibly deep past. And the tools they made? Deceptively simple, but incredibly effective. Sharp stone flakes for cutting, hand axes for chopping wood, and spears for hunting. Now listen, these weren't just rocks. They were the very first signs of human technology. This was the first tiny step toward everything that would come later, toward civilization. But here's the amazing thing. Survival wasn't their only concern. As human brains got more complex, so did the need to express things, to remember, to communicate. And this led to the very first art. Seriously, just imagine walking into a cave today and seeing a painting that was made 10,000 years ago. Well, that's exactly what you can do at the Bhimbetka rock shelters in Madhya Pradesh. It's one of the world's most incredible and ancient art galleries. These ancient walls, they tell such vivid stories. I mean, you can see scenes of men hunting with spears, women dancing together in what looks like a celebration, all kinds of images of the animals that used to roam the land. And they did all this using natural red and white pigments. It's like a perfect snapshot of their world. And this is the key. These paintings weren't just decoration. They were a form of communication. It was a way to pass down crucial hunting knowledge, to remember important events, and to teach the next generation. This, right here, was the very beginning of culture. So, for millennia, humanity just wandered. But then, around 9,000 years ago, a single discovery happened that would change the course of human history forever. It wasn't a revolution of weapons. It was a revolution of seeds. I mean, this comparison really says it all. Before farming, life was just a constant nomadic search for the next meal. Your groups had to be small and fragile. But after farming, everything changed. People started to build permanent homes, they created a stable surplus of food, and for the very first time, communities could actually grow. And one of the earliest and best examples of this incredible shift is a place called Mehrgarh in what's now Pakistan. Around 7,000 BCE, people there figured it out. They started growing crops like wheat, they domesticated animals like goats and sheep, they stored the extra food, and they built permanent houses out of mud bricks. This was absolutely revolutionary. See, the farming revolution didn't just change how people ate, it totally changed how they lived together. The wandering hunter-gatherer bands slowly gave way to the very first settled villages. And this is basically how society began to form. You had permanent housing made from mud bricks, you needed cooperation and shared work to manage the farms, and you saw the beginnings of an economy based not just on farming, but on making pottery and even simple trade. People were finally learning how to be neighbors. So by about 5,000 years ago, all the pieces were on the board. The hunter-gatherers had become farmers and even traders, living in permanent homes. They had laid the foundation for something truly extraordinary, something just over the horizon. We've followed this incredible journey from the very first footsteps to the very first villages. But how do you get from simple mud huts to some of the most advanced megacities of the entire ancient world? What happened next? Well, that is a story for our next explainer.